So I had a realization because of this photo. Let's talk about it. All right, story time. I was in California over the holidays. On December 24th, I was taking photos of football practice. After football practice, the group I was with went to the San Diego Zoo. Now, I know that the zoo isn't necessarily the most authentic place to take wildlife photos, but sometimes you just kind of got to seize the opportunity. I already had my camera with me, and I rolled with it. So that day, I was armed with my trusty D500. This thing is a DSLR beast. I'm a big fan of what Nikon does, and this thing is as good of a crop sensor camera as you're gonna find in the market, in my opinion. And I'll talk about it a lot later in a later video. And in addition to the D500, I was shooting on this 70-200 f2.8, also from Nikon, which is maybe the holy grail of DSLR lenses, in my opinion. The clarity, richness, colors, saturation, bokeh that you get from this lens are incomparable. I was armed with the best of what I've got, trying to take what ultimately was a pretty cool set of photos. We are fighting daylight right now. The sun is literally setting as I'm talking. This is great. It's a speed run. So I get to the zoo and I start taking photos. I get something that I'm actually really proud of. It's a beautiful day. Everything looks awesome. I'm getting some really cool contrast between some of these animals and the environment. Overall, I'm really proud of some of the stuff that I'm getting, and I'm getting kind of excited. And as I'm going through the zoo, I finally get to the jaguar enclosure. So I look in and I see just this gorgeous, majestic animal perched up on a rock over near the back fence. So I start snapping away, start taking some photos, and out of the corner of my left eye, I see another jaguar moving towards me, kind of right along the fence line. I get a little bit closer, I snap a couple photos, jaguar turns, I snap a couple more. All of a sudden, the jaguar pauses, and I know that I've got the perfect shot. So I snap the photo, immediately I go check, because I can't resist the temptation, and I'm super excited about the photo that I took. And it's a scary looking animal, don't get me wrong, but it is one of the prettiest things that I've ever seen. So I'm fired up. I get so fired up that I actually take my phone and take a picture of the screen on my camera just so I can send it to a couple people to be like, look what I just got. I get back to my hotel room, I pop my photos into Lightroom, I edit the photo, and I'm immediately taken aback by what I can only describe as a pretty unique phenomenon. I realize as I'm exporting this photo out of Lightroom and matting it up in Photoshop that it's probably the best photo I've ever taken. Now, for some context, I haven't been seriously taking photos for that long. It's been about 3 months since I started taking photography really seriously. And I think that's really important for context. But this photo allowed me to realize something really interesting, which I'm calling the shot of my life. And the shot of my life phenomenon is this idea that, especially when you are just starting out, it is so common for you to take a photo and realize that that photo that you took is probably the best one that you've ever taken. Now, I know that that curve eventually starts to plateau. I know that that doesn't go on forever, but I think that's something that's really exciting about photography, especially when you're starting out, is that you can take a photo on any given day, and because you've only taken a few thousand photos over your time as a photographer, ultimately you can take one on a whim that ends up being one of your best, if not the best ones you ever took. The really cool thing about that idea is when you take a photo like that, it motivates you, it propels you to the next photo, and you can't wait to pick up that camera again. I think my big takeaway is it's really important, especially when you find something that really excites you, that you love, that you want to keep doing, that you jump on that. It's pretty damn cool that you can get to a point where you're going out there every day and you're taking your new favorite photograph that you're really proud of. I'm really excited about that. That's something that fires me up as a photographer. Sometimes you just need to make sure you got your camera with you, and no matter what you're doing. I mean, I was at football practice. You know, sometimes you're gonna end up in an environment where you realize, oh crap, that's the shot. I think that the most important aspect of creating, at least for me, is the ability to tell stories through the work that you create. The really cool thing about this little phenomenon that has occurred to me is that not only does the picture that I took tell a really cool story, but it has led me to telling a whole different story about this idea and realization that I had about my photography and the photos that I was taking. I hope that it inspires you to take new photos, and I hope that it inspires you to create a little bit more, no matter what part of your creative journey you're at, but especially if you're at the beginning. I'm Julian, and I'm a photographer. Create, be a visionary, and keep telling stories. Peace.